Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Operational Services Committee meeting. It is October 1st of 2024. I'm your chair, Councillor Chris Thiessen, joined today by Mayor Clayton and Councillor Berg as members of this committee. And we will call this meeting to order. I'll look for a motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Berg.
I'd like to move committee adopt the agenda as presented.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Councillor Berg. We'll call that to question. And that motion carries. We have no delegations today, so we'll jump right into reports. For that, we have item 4.1, our service area update, and I'll turn it over to Chief Glavin for his update. Chief Glavin.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Starting off in engineering, we have recently posted a request for proposals for the reservoir and dam feasibility study. As well, on the construction side, we are more or less wrapping up construction on 116th Avenue between 100 and 102nd Street. 116th Avenue between 88th Street and Lakeland Drive. We have paving underway with work to be completed by mid-October, as well as construction that started up recently on 84th Avenue and 116th Street, which we also expect to be wrapped up before the end of construction season. In environment and parks, the fall vermicomposting sessions are underway with various schools and classrooms. As well, on the parks operations side, we have crews doing fall fertilizing, irrigation shutdowns, and mitigating hazard trees throughout Muskogee Park. Neighborhood rink applications have started to come in, and applications can be found on the city's website. Parks has also applied for $125,000 from the Growing Canada's Community Canopies program under the Green Municipal Fund for the city's tree replacement fund for 2025, which would enhance what the city is already doing for trees. In transportation, we're going to be commencing a small trail overlay in the Royal Oaks neighborhood this week, and crews also assisted with the setup and takedown of the professional bull riding event that we had this weekend at Bonnet Centre. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chief Glavin. I've got Councillor Berg in the queue currently. I'll see if we get any more.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Thiessen. So Chief Glavin, just curious, last year on the west end coming from the airport, we'd done a few tree groves, and I believe we were doing that this year. Could you confirm that?
Chief Glavin.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. That is correct. We are continuing with that work east of 112th Street along 100th Avenue, and then north of 100th Avenue along 108th Street up until around the hospital.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Councillor Berg. Looking around, I don't see any other questions. I guess I'll just make a statement. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So thanks for enhancing our tree planting program. And we'll move right along. Item 4.2, Design and Construction Standards Review. I'll turn it back to Chief Glavin to introduce this, and we have members from our administration here to present.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. So the design and construction manuals govern the look and feel and durability of the city's infrastructure. The manuals were last updated in 2009, with minor updates having occurred since then to address issues as they've come up. However, since November of 2020, we have not been able to update designs without having them authenticated by an engineer, which has made it more difficult to keep the manuals current since then. An example of where this becomes a challenge for us is 68th Avenue. When we did a project a few years ago, we had differential settlements of land, or the road, relating to a design for stormwater infrastructure. Since then, we would not design the road the same way. However, at the time, the contractor relied upon an approved design within our design manual. Those are the types of things that we can correct through a comprehensive review that do cost thousands of dollars to remedy when we don't have the correct design within the manual. So we know we have some of those in the manual. There's also other ones that we won't know until they happen that we can likely correct through a review of current design best practices. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Donnelly.
Welcome, Ms. Donnelly.
Thank you. This is working here. So I am here to talk about an important project, and that is the updating of the city's design and construction standards. As you can imagine, that's dear and close to me. These standards are the backbone for our public infrastructure, from everything from bridges to storm sewers. However, they were last comprehensively reviewed back in 2009. That was 15 years ago, so it is time for an overhaul. So we are working with outdated documents that don't reflect modern industry practices in some cases and are not compliant with professional practice standards. That is a problem because these standards are relied upon by everyone, developers, contractors, consultants, even our own city staff. When we're working with outdated documents, it does create a financial and legal risk for the city. So our proposal is to modernize and streamline these documents. The idea is to break them down into volumes by subject, making it easier to use and also making it easier to update and maintain. So volumes could be aligned with industry practice and professionals. And so when we're working on a subject, you can imagine the stakeholders and the contractors are different when it's a transportation system, so that could be a volume, versus a landscaping volume. It's different stakeholders and people. So these documents are how the City of Grande Prairie communicates our expectations for design of infrastructure. It's how we communicate our expectations for construction. It establishes how we measure, monitor, and test work to ensure that we've got what we wanted. And when we communicate outdated expectations, we are going to get outdated results. So gaps and irregularities in the standards place the onus on others that we hire or that land developers hire to propose a standard, and then that puts it back on for us as a city to research that and then bring it forward to council for a decision, and that has the potential of creating delays to development projects. And I just kind of want to note kind of the gaps right now. A lot in there are the rural and infill standards that are kind of gaps right now. So I do think there's value in us proceeding with an update. So the initial budget of $125,000 was approved back in 2022. An additional $125,000 has been requested in the 2025 budget. This will allow us to initiate a staged approach focused on the high priority volumes. This plan includes engagement. As you can imagine, there's quite a ripple effect with these, with both the engineers, contractors, developers, and the public, to ensure the standards meet everyone's needs. Hopefully for another 15 years. That's, I think, an impressive amount of time. The project ties directly into City Council's strategic priorities of innovation, effectiveness, and economic readiness. It ties into quality of life. It ties into innovative and caring community. So by modernizing these standards, we're not just improving infrastructure, we're setting up the city for long-term success. Clearer, more predictable standards make it easier for developers, and it also makes it easier for the city to ensure that we get high-quality projects. Ultimately, this will save the city money by reducing risk and project delays. So we're confident this approach will lead to better infrastructure and support the city's economic growth. The recommendation today is just to accept this report for information, and there will be something coming forward at budget deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report and the context, Ms. Donnelly. I'll turn it over to committee, and I see Councillor Berg in the queue first. And then
thank you, Chair Thiessen, and thanks, Ms. Donnelly. Just reading over the report, I do see this as an investment versus a cost, where it will save us money down the road. But it is a pretty significant chunk at $250,000. Are there other jurisdictions within the province that we could, I guess, piggyback off of to potentially save money, or are we that different, say, from other mid-sized cities across the province?
Ms. Donnelly?
So actually the amount put forward is based on the assumption we would be piggyback off of others. The current document we have is based on the the national master specifications that the Government of Canada puts out, and a lot of other communities use that. So there is a kind of a wheel and starting point. you take that and then you have to refine it to meet your specific community needs, environmental, climate, and council expectations and other contractor abilities. And so that all kind of goes into it. And so we would not be starting from scratch. We have something now. We would rely on the updates that we can find that others have done. That's incorporated into that
Great,
amount.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Councillor Berg. Mayor Clayton.
In a similar vein, so the document was last done, reviewed in 2009. I'm assuming through conversations with it's like-minded, like-sized municipalities that we take best practices and adopt our manual accordingly. I'm wondering what new revelations do you think you're going to see? Councillor Berg mentioned potential savings, through design processes, that when you put out the RFP for a new project, we've learned something through design and potentially that saves us money in a new, innovative way. But I'm wondering, give me a couple of outcomes you're hoping to see from this report. That would be, when I look on the second attachment in Schedule A, I know things cost a lot more now. I'm just struggling with this $250,000 report.
Ms. Donnelly.
Thank you. Through the chair, particularly the specification part, there's a lot of detail that is in that, and that references, just as other communities do, to organizations like AASHTO, which is the American Association of Highway and Transportation. It refers to ASTM, which is American Society for Testing Materials. So there's actually, I have Edmonton's because they've nicely listed all of the groups in here, and then the references for testing. So you can imagine the level of detail that is in the document when you're doing a catch basin frame and grate, for example. There's laboratory test requirements. There's weight requirements for the casting of what load can be on there. So there's the design component, which is easier for us to do. But when I started looking at some of the specifications around concrete in particular, some of the cities have moved away from using AASHTO as a testing to STM testing, and some of the testing references in our document have been updated or possibly are gone. So there's a lot of little nuances in the document that would get updated to reflect the current. So that's kind of definitely one of them. There's a lot of things I expect to be updated.
Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. So can I assume then, with the report, the facilitator of the report will have come back with significant, relevant information specific to our community. So they will know from research that you mentioned concrete. So they will have data from various communities, various winter cities, various geographical similarities, and say, this is what we think that you should be doing with your concrete, let's say, for example. And then our engineering department adopts that, and then in turn, the outcomes can be better, as opposed to our engineering department going away and exploring, which costs money every time you're trying something new, without necessarily a proven result. Would that be fair to say? That you're getting a document that will have updated expert information?
Ms. Donnelly?
Yes, that's exactly what we're looking to do.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question, Mayor Clayton. I guess to date, I've only been on council since 2013, so this document is 4 years older than me on council. But what I've observed over the years is our administration, engineering department, and the service area that works it is based off of what happens in the city. We're always adding on to this. So we got our rural cross sections. 84th and 108th used to be not graded with concrete by the intersections there, and you would see the impressions of the heavy trucks going through because, well, they go through that road, and when they have to turn onto the other road. So these ad hoc methods, this would be better informed. So I'm very in alignment with Councillor Berg said, where it's an investment in our community, because things go wrong 2 years after the engineering insurance runs out. The city ends up having to pick up the tab and fix all the work and stuff like that. So if we have clear guidelines set out before, this $250,000 is going to go a long way to saving the city years down the road after work's been done. So I appreciate this. The question that I do have, though, outside of the statement is in talking about budget, it's about $250,000 that's coming this year, but this is only one part of it. How much is the overall budget to bring everything together from the storm system, etc., for future years?
That's a good question. So talking to other communities, we've heard that they've spent between $200,000 and $1 million. We're hoping to be towards the lower end of that. So I would be working with procurement to draft a request for submissions from consultants that can do more than what we've initially think. So I think for sure we can get the majority, like the big part of the transportation and the general parts done, which is perhaps the largest component of our document. I think we will need to then budget and bring back a report for how much more we would need. I don't know exactly at this time, but the first part would set up the framework and set up how it links in. Administration will do formatting to bring in the older volumes we can't get to. I can't tell you at the end of the day. I'm hoping it's not at the $1 million. I'm hoping that the 250 gets us a good 75% of this done.
Mm-hmm. And actually, thank you for that answer, because that's what I was imagining from it, that this is the investment, it sets it up, and then everything else is just to plug and play into the design and construction manual. So I don't foresee it being that much, but I got a crystal ball whether or not you believe in that. But I just wanted to see over the time horizon what we might be spending on this manual. But thank you for your answer. Any other questions? Mayor Clayton.
I had a question for the CAO. Traditionally, when committee receives something for information, it means thank you and nothing happens with it. It's received for information. There's no action and direction. And so I'm wondering if administration's looking for a motion for this to be deferred to the budget or not, or what will happen if this motion as recommended is just simply done.
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Our commitment on budget was some of these larger items that there'd be opportunity for discussion at the committee level. So that was the intent of today, was to bring that information and to see if there was any further discussion. Our intent is to bring this recommend this as part of the capital budget for 2025, and that's the action that would be taken if this was received for information. An alternative would be to refer this to budget, but that isn't necessary, as that is currently part of our plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that clarity, Mayor Clayton and Mr. Burke. Any other questions for Ms. Donnelly or administration? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion. Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. I recommend that Operational Services Committee receive this report for information.
That motion is in order. As we know, there's 125 extra asks coming to budget already planned. So I'll call to question. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Ms. Donnelly, for your reports and your time. And moving right along, I guess I'll just shoot it right over to Chief Glavin across the room here for our outstanding items list.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. The only update today would be item 1230 that we just had presented can be removed.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. I'll look for a motion to approve the outstanding items list. I think I'll call Mayor Clayton's number. And Mayor Clayton makes that motion. All in favor? And that motion carries. Sorry, Councillor Berg, I didn't think it was appropriate. You batted 1,000 today.
I'm okay.
All right, cool. All right, we'll see you in about 3 minutes for our next committee meeting. Oh, 10:30. Oh, yeah, we'll see you at 10:30. So we got a little bit of a wait here. Thank you.